This is Andrew Rochford, host of the Rochford Files on YouTube, also live streaming on Twitch as well. And for this story, it is about a squad member and what we've known is so far in the Biden administration, members of the squad have not done very many positive things, even on a smaller scale. But in this moment, Ilhan Omar actually did a small step of that in the right direction when it comes to this calling for the pardon of whistleblower Daniel Hale. So let's go over this letter real quick. Then I'll give you some further thoughts on what needs to be the actions that evolve beyond this. Dear President Biden, I am writing to strongly encourage you to use your authority to pardon Daniel Everett Hale, who was sentenced to 45 months in prison on July 27, 2021, after pleading guilty to one count of violating the Espionage Act. Mr. Hale served as an intelligence analyst in the Air Force and after his service became one of the most outspoken critics of the drone program which he had participated. In doing so, he joined a proud American tradition of veterans advocating for peace after their service was complete. I take seriously the prohibition on leaking classified information, but I believe there are several aspects of Mr. Hale's case that merit a full pardon. Although the investigation of Mr. Hale leaks began under the Obama administration, the Obama Department of Justice declined to prosecute him. It wasn't until 2019, under President Trump, that he was indicted, and we are all aware of the severe consequences of the Trump administration's chilling crackdown on whistleblowers and other public servants who they deemed insufficiently loyal. I believe that the decision to prosecute Mr. Hale was motivated, at least in part, as a threat to other would-be whistleblowers. Mr. Hale's release of information related to the drone program did not put any individual in danger. The information, while politically embarrassing to some, has shown a vital light on the legal and moral problems of the drone program and informed the public debate on an issue that has for too many years remained in the shadows. This information also provided concrete benefit to the legal efforts of Americans seeking to protect their constitutional rights against secretive and arbitrary watchlisting practices. Finally, Mr. Hale pled guilty and took full responsibility for his actions. His motivation, as outlined in his deeply moving letter to the judge in his case, was profoundly moral. As you frequently say, the United States should lead not just by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. I implore you to read Mr. Hale's letter to the judge in full, and I believe you'll agree he was motivated by the same thing, acknowledging where we've gone wrong and telling the truth about our shortcomings. It is not only the right thing to do, but also an act of profound patriotism. The legal question of Mr. Hale's guilt is settled, but the moral question remains open. I strongly believe that a full pardon, or at least a commutation of his sentence, is warranted. It is precisely for these cases where the letter of the law does not capture the complex human judgments and difficult situations that your pardon authority is at its most useful. I thank you for your consideration of this important matter, and I stand ready to continue the conversation. I look forward to your prompt response. Sincerely, Ilhan Omar, Member of Congress. So this right here is a good start. One of the big things that the left has been advocating for is speaking out in favor of whistleblowers like Daniel Hale, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Reality Winner, Commander X, and others. But if this starts and ends with a letter, then this is just going to fall right in line with what we know from the squad, and that's just their action is just based in strongly worded letters. And this is a moment that Ilhan Omar needs to do more. And she has the potential to get a coalition behind the advocacy of releasing a whistleblower like Daniel Hale, because she's got her 5 other squad members plus roughly 6 to 8 other progressives who can assist in creating a block to help force Biden's hand in making this happen. And if you get all the people in it, if you get the full 6 squad members in addition to the other, roughly 6 to 8 people in Congress who classify themselves as progressive, that means percentage wise, you've got slightly more power in the House than Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin have in the Senate. So let's make that clear. This is a good start, but there needs to be more done. And I also say that this is not a means of justifying the idea of getting overly appreciative of this basic starting action, because what we've seen is that there's certain left commentators who will tell you that politicians won't do good things unless you praise them. And it's important to not take this bait and demand that they evolve beyond this. As I said, she has to now build a block to make a more aggressive push. And guess what? You may even be able to siphon a few of the other non-progressives in Congress in order to build stronger support for this ask. But at the same time, since Ilhan Omar has finally asked for a whistleblower, that also means we have to ask the same of them to fight for other whistleblowers, as the ones I've mentioned, like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Reality Winner, Commander X, because that's an important principle here for the left, is to be anti-imperialist. And by and large, the squad members up to this point have mostly been imperialist, and the best that we get out of them most of the time is actions of acknowledging both sides. And this is an issue that we continue to need to pull them left on. So that means not settling on this letter and pressuring them to do more and build a real coalition, and using their leverage to force Biden's hand into making it happen, because they've missed their fair share of opportunities to use their leverage so far since the Biden administration has taken over. But they've always got an opportunity to use their leverage and turn it around. And this is a good moment for the left to pressure Ilhan Omar and other progressives to make that happen. So it's important to not overly praise this starting action and change the narrative here into continuously making sure that to pressure politicians to evolve on their actions. But this overall is a good foundational starting block, but they can't stop here. Otherwise, this is just gonna be another instance of a strongly worded letter, and it eventually turns into a tweeting point rather than a fighting point.